Hey, welcome back to the Motivate Podcast Show. At the Motivate Podcast Show, we say less, but we always believe for more. I want to talk a little bit about a principle, and that principle today. That principle is being stuck on one thing, having a tunnel vision, being tunnel minded to the extent that it's a detriment to your growth and your success. In other words, you focus on one area, one thing, and you're so attached to that one area, that one thing, that you miss the value, you miss the opportunity for the expansion, the growth, the level of success that you can actually be on. Not too long ago, I read an article on the failure of Blockbuster Video. How many remember a Blockbuster Video? Blockbuster Video in the late 1990s, early 2000s was the 800-pound gorilla as it relates to the video rental business. And so somewhere around 1996, it was a form of a company called Netflix. How many remember Netflix? And Netflix was a new startup company formed somewhere around 1996, 1997. And as you recall, Netflix had the red box. Remember the red box? You can go outside of your favorite store, Walmart or CVS, and they had the red box. And so the red box, you put in your debit card, your credit card. In exchange, you would get a video. You could rent that video for a couple of days. You brought it back and you scanned your card, drop off the video, boom, and you're done. It was good. And so Netflix created what they refer to as a subscription model. So somewhere around 1998, Netflix, then being about 2 or 3 years young, approached the 800-pound gorilla, Blockbuster Video, shared with Blockbuster Video Netflix idea for the subscription model. They saw that the subscription model was the way to go as it relates to video rental. Well, the then CEO of Blockbuster Video literally laughed. The executives from Netflix literally laughed them out of the meeting, and the reason why they laughed them out, or they didn't accept what Netflix was proposing, because Netflix was basically saying, subscription model, here's what we want to do. Netflix said, we want you to buy our company for $50 million. In exchange, we want to manage this subscription model, which we believe is the wave of the future. And Blockbuster couldn't see that. And one of the reasons why Blockbuster did not accept the offer from Netflix is because then about 16% of Blockbuster's revenue was from late fees. And for those of you that are old enough to remember, when you got your video from Blockbuster, if you were a day late, they charged you $1 per day until you return the video or the game cartridge that you rented from Blockbuster Video. Blockbuster Video saw 16% revenue. Said, no, we can't go with the subscription model, because that would mean that we would lose the 16% revenue. And I want you to put a pin right there. Remember, 16% revenue. Blockbuster refused Netflix offer to purchase them for $50 million. Now, it wasn't an issue of money, because a year prior to Netflix approaching Blockbuster, the year prior, Blockbuster raised about $465 million through what's referred to as IPO, right? Initial purchase option. So, in other words, Blockbuster sold shares in the company, went public, and allowed the public to invest in and buy ownership in Blockbuster Video, and Blockbuster Video raised $465 million. So it wasn't a question of whether Blockbuster had the money or not. It was because Blockbuster could not see them switching from their model to embrace what Netflix was proposing as the subscription model, because that's 16%. They couldn't see giving up 16% revenue. Well, 2 years later, Blockbuster went out of business, filed bankruptcy, and Blockbuster went out of business. And you know what? Today, Netflix has a net worth of $110 billion. I want you to think about that for a second. Blockbuster had an opportunity to purchase Netflix for $50 million. They had the money. 10% of the revenue that they generated, 10%, it would cost them 10% of what they generated, the money that they raised the year before to purchase Netflix. So Blockbuster Video walked away from a $50 million purchase. That $50 million purchase would position Blockbuster today to be a $110 billion company. Let's break that down a little bit. Compared 50 million to $110 billion. Let's look at 50 billion compared to 150 million compared to $110 billion. So 10% of $110 billion is how much? Simple math. 10% of $110 billion is, well, how much is that, class? 1.1 billion. So 5% of $110 billion, how much is that, class? Right? This half of $1.1 billion. Let's call it 600 million, right? Let's call it roughly $600 million, right? So less than 1%, because 1% of $600 million is how much? 10% of $600 million is 60 million. We call it 50 million. So listen, for about, what is the number? For roughly 1%, maybe less than 1% of 110 billion. I keep saying, I want you to see that $110 billion, 10% of $110 billion, 1.1 billion, 5% is about 600 million, right? And so if you took 600 million and you divided it down, right, we're talking about less than about 1% or so would have been their investment. A few percent would have been Blockbuster's investment to purchase Netflix for $50 million, and today is $110 billion. What's the point that I'm making? Sometimes in life, friend, we are presented with an idea, an opportunity to advance, an opportunity to go to the next level. But we become so fixated. We become so enamored by something that we're comfortable with, and we look and we gaze and we lock in on that one thing and that one thing only, and that one thing stands in the way of us living the type of life that we desire to live. So my point today is, don't let something insignificant that you're holding so dearly on to stand in the way of you living the life that you desire to live, right? Don't let it stand in the way. So for me, I would never, ever let a 3-digit number stand in the way of a 6 or 7 or 8-figure lifestyle. Never, ever again. I can recall investing opportunities coming my way because it was $100 or $200 for the investment, or $300 or $500 for the investment. I'm like, oh man. But the opportunity was 4, 5, or 6 figures. 3 figures to get 4, 5, or 6 figures. I'll do that investment every day of the week. Now, of course, from an investment perspective, you got to hedge your investment. You got to protect your investment. But I'm only talking about a principle in life. So let me ask you this, friend. What are you holding on to? What are you holding on to that's preventing you from enjoying and experiencing the kind of success that you want in your life, the kind of success that you want to have in your relationships, in your business, in your family, etc.? For me, don't let 3 digits stand in the way of a 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8-figure lifestyle. What are you holding on to? See, when you and I determine what it is that we want to be, what it is that we want to accomplish, when we determine that, it automatically requires us to let go of something. I have to walk away from a mindset. We have to walk away from a belief system. We got to walk away from maybe a relationship. I don't know. Don't be like Blockbuster and let an insignificant number stand in the way of I'm talking about super, super success in life. Friend, I appreciate you carving out a few minutes on the Motivate Podcast. The Motivate Podcast, we say less and we always believe for more. Let's go.